Yep, Boneheaded Boaters of the week. Got a whole crew sitting on the front of the barge. Be all over with. Yep, that's how it's done right there.
And you wonder why we see so many people doing this now. Probably starts just like the situation we just saw. Somebody was out on the water, saw some of the pros out there doing it, and said, well, if the pros can do it, must be okay for us as well. Welcome back, crew, to this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. The reality is, it's not okay for anybody. In fact, bow riding in many states is actually illegal. Now, of course, we're not talking about riding in the bow of the boat. Many vessels are set up for that exact purpose, but we're talking about riding on the bow of the boat, or the gunwale, or the transom. In many places, in fact, almost all of those are considered illegal and will get you a citation and really aren't worth doing. In fact, there are many easier ways and safer ways to get yourself in trouble on the water. Kind of like we see our crew pulling here, and that's breaking rule number 1. And rule number 1, that's not being subscribed to this channel. That's right, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, your drain plug is not safe. The Drain Plug Mafia will come out there and will find you, and you might find yourself taking a little swim.
Are you getting back up with the gal?
Well, I never got out of it. Yeah. We wouldn't have made it to the
Now, of course, the Drain Plug Mafia striking is not the only way for you to sink your boat. There's plenty of other ways to accomplish this task out there in the water, kind of like we see right here. People ask all the time, how does this stuff happen? Well, if you're on a sandbar or near an island and you wind up beaching, your bow goes up, your transom goes down. If a boat comes along tossing a big enough wake or wave, the next thing you know, your boat is full of water and you could wind up in this spot here. Then, of course, there's tackling big waves in general. I don't typically recommend this at all, but if you do decide you're going to get out there and try and tackle some of those waves, I would definitely try and make sure you got the correct boat for the job. Having a boat that's too small is going to wind you up in a bad situation. And having a big boat doesn't mean that it's a world beater. Just because you've got a big vessel doesn't mean that you can go out there in the worst of conditions and think things are going to be okay. Even the pros get out there from time to time and find themselves in bad spots because the weather wound up taking advantage of the vessel they were on. All it takes is one thing to go wrong, and the next thing you know, you're in a spot like this. Now, another situation that arises quite frequently that can sink your vessel, that's going to be the misloading of a boat. Now, most people, when I say misloading a boat, are going to assume I'm talking about a commercial situation like we see right here. But no, it can happen to you as well. In fact, I personally have witnessed 2 boats sink because they were misloaded. The 2 boats in question, one was a 22-foot bow rider and the other was a 24-foot bow rider. Both the vessels wound up going offshore with a little too much weight on the boat, probably both over the actual weight capacity listed on the vessel. But that wasn't the key part. The key part was the mismanagement of the weight. Both those particular boats heavy loaded their weight into the bow of the boat, causing the boat to not do what it's supposed to do. When they wound up hitting a wake or a wave, instead of the bow rolling over the wake of the wave, because of the heavy weight, it winds up plowing through it, and both boats became inundated with water as they could not get over the waves. Mismanaging the weight of your boat really is a dangerous thing. If you've ever driven a boat that had weight mismanaged on it, you'll know what I'm talking about because it does some funky things as you're trying to drive it. Now, I know what you're thinking. BG, you've sucked all the fun out of boating. You're telling me I can't go out there and bow ride. I can't go out there and tackle the big waves and not get in trouble. And when I get everybody and all of our gear on the boat, I gotta watch where it's placed. Where can I go and boat that is gonna be safe? Well, I guess you could hit the beach as long as you put the boat all the way up there. At least then you know it's not going anywhere and it's not sinking. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like AC1, Bad Brain, Bruce Wayne, Dylan Ballman, Fire and Stone Duxbury, Iceman USVI, I Prefer Nandes, Island Girl Excursions, and RS Smallcheck did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.